Bonjour, and thank you for taking some time to learn more about the Treaty Natural Resource Division's comprehensive planning effort. This section will focus specifically on water-related programs such as water resources, fisheries, and the hatchery. The Water Resources Program concentrates primarily on surface water, such as streams that flow through the reservation. The Fisheries Program monitors and studies the fish populations of Lake Superior and its streams. And the Hatchery raises fish to be released into Lake Superior and inland lakes to restore or supplement fish populations. Our goal is to provide you with a brief overview of these existing programs, lay out our draft vision statement that was adapted from the previous management plan, and to go over the drafted objectives for these water-related sections of this planning effort. In the text of the plan, there is more information and discussion that goes into greater detail. If possible, we hope that you will be able to take a little extra time to read through those materials as well. We invite you to provide feedback, especially on our draft objectives, as those will guide much of our daily activities and program planning over the next 10 years. However, we would also love and welcome input on the vision statement, background, and general discussion contained within these sections. Information on where to access the whole plan and how to comment will be provided at the end of this presentation. First, we'll talk about the Water Resources Program. As mentioned before, Water Resources monitors the quality of surface water on the reservation. The drafted vision statement for the Water Resources Program is to have excellent NIBI or water quality to support healthy habitats, a large diversity of native aquatic life, and the tribal members who use the NIBI resources today, tomorrow, and for 7 generations. A vision statement should be a reflection of the community's wants and views now and for the future of water wellness. Please let us know if there are any changes that you would like to see made to the draft statement or any general comments that you may have. The Water Resources Program currently consists of a Water Resources Program Manager, Allie Rakowski, and the Water Resources Technician, Tanner Bruzette. The Water Resources' main current objective is to monitor water quality for the streams and rivers that flow through the reservation. We currently monitor 6 streams and 1 Lake Superior site near shore. We have 18 sampling locations total, which can be seen here in yellow. So each stream is monitored in at least 2 separate areas, somewhere upstream and also at the mouth where the water flows into the lake. We sample our locations once a month through the open water season, which is typically April through November. When we go out and sample, we measure things like temperature, water clarity, dissolved oxygen, pH, nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus, and E. coli. In addition, the Water Resources Program conducts outreach events and provides information on water quality and wellness. Over the next 10 years, we would like to further advance the Water Resources Program by adding new objectives. We'll continue to monitor the streams in Lake Superior, but we will also want to expand our efforts. Some of our new objectives will include increasing the amount of monitoring at the 18 established locations. This means sampling more than just once a month to get a better picture of the stream's water quality and what happens to the water quality after large rain events. We would also like to determine if additional streams should be sampled other than the 6 we currently monitor. We would also make it a goal to establish a wetland monitoring program that would be led by a designated wetland employee. This would help us to sample or measure wetlands on a regular basis and gain a better understanding of the quality of wetlands on reservation, which could help determine if and where they may need to be restored. In addition, we would like to develop a priority list for stream locations that could benefit from restoration efforts. There have been some stream bank stabilization efforts done in the past, but we would like to continue to identify what other areas could use some attention. And finally, we would continue to develop new outreach programs and events and different ways to distribute water-related information. These are just the primary new objectives for the Water Resources Program. If you'd like to view all of the drafted objectives and how they may be achieved, you can take a look at pages 40 through 42 of the Comprehensive Plan. We would greatly appreciate your help by letting us know what you think about these new goals for the future of the Water Resources Program. Do you think they align with the goals of the community? Do you think additional streams or locations should be sampled? Do you know of some areas that could use some attention or could be restored? What outreach programs would you like to see? Are there outreach events in the past that you really liked or really disliked? Any information, critiques, or feedback you have would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Bonjour. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about the Treaty Natural Resources Division's comprehensive planning effort and specifically the fisheries section of the plan. My name is Ian Harding. I'm the fisheries biologist. Also in the fisheries department are Reed Som, biological technician, Lance Brezett, the commercial fish monitor, and Shelley Grinnell, the office manager. We spend most of our time monitoring the commercial fishery, conducting our own assessments of Lake Superior fish, managing the information from these activities, and communicating that information with partner agencies. This information is used to inform management decisions such as how many fish can be sustainably harvested or how our restoration efforts working. The drafted vision statement for the fisheries program is protect, rehabilitate, and restore fishes within the ceded waters and the Red Cliff Reservation to facilitate the sustainable use of fisheries resources for tribal members now and for 7 generations. This vision statement should be a reflection of the community's wants and views for the future of the fisheries resources. The drafted statement for the fisheries program was derived and updated from the old Integrated Resources Management Plan. Please let us know if there are changes you would like to see made to the draft statement or any general comments that you have. The fisheries resources in the ceded waters are diverse and include the waters of Lake Superior ceded by the Treaty of 1842, the inland waters ceded by the treaties of 1836, 1837, and 1842, and the waters on the reservation. The Fisheries Department started in the 1980s, and the main focus then and today has been the waters of Lake Superior ceded by the Treaty of 1842. Some effort has been put into assessing fish in the reservation streams, and the assessment of the inland waters has been deferred to GLFWC. Today, program staff consist of fisheries biologist, a biological technician, a commercial fish monitor, and an office manager. You were introduced to the current staff in these positions earlier in this presentation. Funds to staff these positions come primarily from the BIA as part of our base budget and are sometimes augmented by competitive grants. The waters of Lake Superior, ceded by the Treaty of 1842, spans approximately 8.9 million acres across 3 states. Presently, Red Cliff has active fisheries in the Wisconsin and Michigan waters of the ceded area. These are the areas shown in the blue and dark blue. These fisheries mostly target lake whitefish, lake trout, and lake herring, which are also known as Cisco. These fisheries are co-managed by a number of agencies that work cooperatively, and the management depends on the management unit shown as the polygons bordered in black. The common goal for all the management units is to maintain sustainable harvests using a system of regulation, assessment, and enforcement. It is our role as the fisheries department to conduct the assessments, which is used to recommend updates to regulations. These assessments are often done cooperatively with other agencies since the amount of water is vast. The goals of the assessments vary, but can include estimating how many fish are out there, birth and death rates, growth rates, and how many are killed by sea lamprey. We currently conduct routine assessments of the commercial fisheries and for lake trout, lake whitefish, lake herring, brook trout, lake sturgeon, and non-native species. Information from these assessments is synthesized into reports and shared with partner agencies. These activities occupy most of the Fisheries Department's time. More information on the background of Lake Superior fisheries can be found in the text of the draft plan. Now we would like to run through an overview of the draft objectives that are laid out in this plan. These objectives are really where the document plays an important role in determining the focus, priorities, and direction of the fisheries program, both short-term and long-term. Priorities may shift and opportunities to undertake additional projects may arise in the future, and when that occurs, our intent is to be flexible enough to address new goals and take advantage of new opportunities. But for now, these objectives will be our main guidance. Specific tasks necessary to meet the objectives can be found in the text of the draft plan. We should also note that all of the objectives are considered to be of equal importance. Some may be expected to be achieved in a short time frame, others over a long period of time, and several really represent ongoing efforts that will need to be sustained. With that said, our first objective for the seeded waters of Lake Superior is to protect, rehabilitate, and restore native fishes. Looking into the future, some ways we plan to do this are by improving current stock assessments for lake trout, lake whitefish, and lake herring, continuing to participate in lake-wide restoration efforts for lake sturgeon, brook trout, and walleye, and continuing to sample fish in the nearshore area, since this area is rarely sampled, and work with partner agencies to evaluate climate change impacts to the present fisheries. Our second objective is to mitigate pollution, remediate polluted sites, and assess contaminant levels in Lake Superior fishes. We learned from community feedback that pollution is a high concern. Policy is the most cost-effective option for mitigation, and written comments can help direct funding to remediation efforts. We currently work with Glyphwick to assess contaminants in some fish species in some areas, but Lake Superior is large, and the community consumes more species than are regularly tested. We think it would be good to evaluate possible data gaps in contaminant testing and close those gaps where possible. Our third objective is to prevent the introduction of new non-native species and monitor and control existing non-native species. Policy is the most cost-effective way for prevention, and we plan to work with other agencies to monitor for non-native species. Some non-native species can also be controlled, such as a sea lamprey, and we feel it is important to continue to support control efforts. Our fourth and fifth objectives are similar and are to maintain existing partnerships and seek new partnerships as necessary, and to commit to formalized commercial fishing agreements. One way to achieve this is to be a responsible partner by contributing to efforts and committing to agreements. Lastly, we want to keep the Red Cliff community informed of activities and engage youth. We currently contribute to the seasonal TNR newsletter and participate in the TNR Youth Internship Program. We would greatly appreciate any ideas you may have to improve how we do this. Moving on to the inland seeded waters. There are thousands of standing and flowing waters within the inland seeded territories. These waters provide fishing opportunities for a variety of species, and walleye are among the most important. The Fisheries Department helps the Hatchery Department stock walleyes, but otherwise does not do anything directly concerning these waters. We do not currently have the capacity to, and we defer these activities to the Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission, also known as Glyphwick. The Fisheries Department does occasionally review and comment on documents concerning these waters. More information on the background of the inland seeded waters can be found in the text of the draft plan. Our objectives for the inland waters are similar to the objectives for Lake Superior, but our specific tasks for addressing them in the future is to continue with the status quo. In other words, we plan to review and comment on documents pertaining to these waters, but to leave the day-to-day activities to GLFWIC. We received feedback that the community is concerned about declining walleye abundance and that smaller quotas decrease harvest opportunities. Would you like to see the Fisheries Department more directly involved in these issues, or do you feel GLFWIC is doing a satisfactory job? Lastly, moving on to the waters on the reservation. There are approximately 43 miles of flowing water on the reservation. Many of these waters were likely once home to brook trout, including the larger coaster form, the smaller resident form of brook trout, and also the coaster form, stocked from the Red Cliff Fish Hatchery, are still detected in some of the streams on the reservation. These streams are shown here in dark blue, but we no longer hear of any large coasters being caught. The Fisheries Department has sampled the streams on reservation for fish, but these samples have not been conducted on a regular basis. We have also done some habitat improvements, such as the fish ladder in Chicago Creek, which helps brook trout and other fish move up and downstream through the culvert on Blueberry Road. More information on the background of the reservation waters can be found in the text of the draft plan. Our objectives for the waters on reservation are similar to the objectives for Lake Superior, but our specific tasks for addressing them are different. Although many fish species live in the streams on reservation, we plan to focus mostly on brook trout in the next 10 years. Brook trout are native. We've learned from the community that the community fishes for them, and we are concerned about their stability in the future due to climate change. Brook trout are also good indicators for high water quality. Like all waters, we need to protect the streams on reservation from non-native species and pollutants. We are not presently aware of any pollution concerns for the fisheries in the reservation waters, but if you know of any, please let us know. Other than non-native fishes, we do not have a survey for detecting other non-native species in the reservation streams, and think it would be good to have a current inventory. Sea lamprey are routinely assessed and, if needed, controlled in Red Cliff Creek and the Sand River by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Sea lamprey are controlled by careful applications of a lampricide. We think this activity should continue to keep sea lamprey populations in check and protect native species, but want to know what you think. Do you have any other fishery concerns for the streams on reservation that we did not address? Thank you for taking the time to weigh in on our planning effort.
Bonjour everyone. We are going to be discussing the Red Cliff Tribal Fish Hatchery in the next couple of slides here, so please stay with us and provide any feedback that you may have at the conclusion of this presentation. The Red Cliff Tribal Fish Hatchery is looking to provide a comprehensive fish hatchery program capable of providing eggs, fry, or fish for both on and off-reservation stocking, for rehabilitation, restoration, and the supplementation of fish stocks in waters ceded by the Treaty of 1842 for the next 7 generations. The hatchery has produced and stocked over 1 million fish in the waters of the ceded territory since its operation began. The primary focus of the hatchery has been rearing walleye and coaster brook trout. In the past, the hatchery has been staffed by 2 full-time positions. However, not all tasks can be completed by just 2 individuals. Therefore, the hatchery has also relied on the assistance from the rest of the TNR division when it comes to stocking large amounts of fish. Half of the main hatchery production building has been converted over to a partial recirculating aquaculture system, also known as a RAS. This has helped the hatchery stay current with new rearing practices and ensures we are being good stewards of the land and using only the necessary resources. The hatchery has also had a major overhaul of its walleye rearing ponds. Ponds have been converted over to a membrane liner and fitted with new outlet structures. These new additions replace the old earth and clay bottoms and aging concrete structures, making for a more efficient walleye rearing operation. Now that you have a brief overview of the hatchery, I will touch on some of the objectives of this new comprehensive plan for the future of the Red Cliff Fish Hatchery. We will talk a little about the importance of collaboration, education, and some of the future aspirations here at the hatchery. One of the main objectives for the future of the hatchery is to collaborate with other like-minded tribes and agencies. Many of us in this field have the same goal of protecting the resources for the future, and coming together to accomplish this goal makes the most sense. Therefore, the hatchery is seeking to work with other tribes, local communities, and different lake associations. Along with working with other agencies, reaching out to the schools in this area is of great importance to the hatchery. Providing educational opportunities has been a staple here and will continue to be so in the future. The practice of raising fish is ever changing. There have been great developments over the years in making this practice more efficient, capable of producing a higher quality product, and protecting the product at all costs. Therefore, the hatchery is committed to keeping up with these advancements and making any adjustments as needed. Over the course of the next 10 years, the hatchery is looking to continue to stay current with the ever-evolving field, collaborate with other agencies, provide educational opportunities for the youth of the area, and protect the resource for the generations to come. If you would like more information on the future plans of the Red Cliff Tribal Fish Hatchery, please view a copy of our draft plan. Also, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to reach out. The contact information will be at the conclusion of this presentation. Chi-miigwech.
This concludes this presentation. Again, thank you for taking the time to weigh in on our planning effort. Please submit any comments by email or through the online process by October 31st, 2020. Miigwech.